Good evening, everyone. It is 7 o'clock on Thursday, March 11th. This is time for the Bellbrook-Sugarcreek Board of Education regular meeting. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for public participation during the meeting as indicated on the agenda. Mr. Lang, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Carpenter?
Here.
Mrs. Dorn?
Here.
Mrs. Long?
Here.
Mr. Price?
Here.
Mrs. Sloughtman?
Here.
Will you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Lang, would you please give the treasurer's report?
Yes, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the meetings of February 11th and February 25th?
Mrs. Dorn? Mr. Price? Any discussion, questions, corrections? All right, please call the roll.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn?
Yes.
Mrs. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Sloughtman?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Can I get a motion to approve the treasurer's report for the month of February as presented with the agenda?
So moved.
Mrs. Long?
Second.
Mrs. Lockman? Okay.
Just didn't really have anything to report unless you have some questions. I just wanted to note that the one spreadsheet showing the account balances for the last several years, last many years, is, as I said, the last couple of months, it's hard to compare because of the timeliness of the real estate tax receipts from year to year.
Right.
And we don't have our final check in yet, so it makes the amounts incomparable since that's such a large amount.
Right.
Any questions about anything else we have there? We have the pie charts and all that stuff.
Couple questions here on that. One, both with respect to the minutes and with respect to the pie charts, what progress are we making toward getting those published on our website? We talked about it. I looked the other day. I don't think they were there, but that could be that I missed it. So
I think Josh is saying they're on there. Yes.
okay, all right, very good. Thank you. I just missed it the other day. Thank you.
But we are doing the minutes as we approve them. So February minutes will go on now that we approve them tonight. Yes.
All right, any other questions or comments? Anything else that you wanted to add to that?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right, please call the roll.
Mrs. Dorn?
Yes.
Mrs. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Sloughtman?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes. Motion passes.
And the last one I have is I need a motion to approve the then and now certificate for Miamisburg City Schools for PO number 4101314 for the excess cost tuition and therapy of a developmentally disabled preschool student for last school year. And we just received the invoice for that this month. So we need a then and now certificate for that one.
Okay, we have a motion.
So moved.
Mrs. Sloughtman?
Second.
Mrs. Dorn? Any questions or comments? All right, please call the roll.
Mrs. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Sloughtman?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
And Mrs. Dorn?
Yes.
Motion passes. Does anyone have correspondence that they received since our last meeting that they wanted to share with the rest of us? All right, hearing none, we'll go on to good news recognition. The first one is for Tegan Melton for the OHSAA 2021 Division II State Qualifier. 18th place in the 200 individual medley. Tegan here. congratulations, and I'm smiling at you. So, you are. Congratulations. Next, we have Cameron Ivy for the OHSAA 2021 Division II State Qualifier, 15th place in the 100 freestyle, 12th place in the 200 freestyle. Cameron? Next one's for Bailey Zerby, 2021 Southwestern Buckeye League Player of the Year. Congratulations. Next is for Jason Teacher, 2021 Southwestern Buckeye League Basketball Coach of the Year. And finally, Donnie Tate, 2021 Southwestern Buckeye League Basketball Coach of the Year as well. Congratulations.
Before all those folks leave, again, congratulations, but Mr. Odell, can you get a picture of all of them maybe on the hallway, so that we can get that posted? I know it's hard all the way back there to get that picture, but we definitely want to get out there. Congratulations, thank you.
Yeah.
Quicker.
All right. And we're going into open communications.
Well, Mr. Carpenter,
Let's make it in here already.
Jacob, we just introduced Mr. Wilhite.
Oh, yes. I'm so sorry.
Jacob Wilhite.
Jacob Wilhite. There you are. Jacob is our new transportation director. He's been on the job since the beginning of the year. And his first couple days where he had 2-hour delays, I think, and then snow day really close to thereafter. So kind of a little bit of trial by ice. But certainly glad to have you on board. And Jacob, thank you so much for being here.
Just to kind of piggyback on that, Jacob's just doing a fantastic job. Like Mr. Carpenter said, the first day he was out at 4:30 in the morning with me driving the roads. So he's just doing a fantastic job, and welcome to the panel. We appreciate it. Thank you, Jacob.
I'm happy to be here.
Very good. All right, so I'll check to see if anybody signed in to speak.
We're going to switch. We're going to go to another room for in building field trips. I know. There's
All right,
public trip.
we have two folks that have signed up to speak. Our first is James Martin. So James, you're welcome to stand here at the podium and speak.
Take this off the top.
Yes, you may.
Do we have a mic now?
Yeah, there's a microphone up.
I didn't plan on coming here tonight.
You can use the
All know
microphone.
the history of what's gone on before. Okay. What happened before is over. We're going forward now. I didn't plan to come, but I thought I should. I am very pleased with what you've come up with. I'm 100% for it. And I was surprised to find out that instead of a 6-point levy, you're going to have a 5-point for 7 years.
Mhm.
I can understand why. You don't want to go 4 years with a 6 and then try another. Also, on what you have now, anybody in the audience can get up and be able to talk. I'm 100% for it. I want everybody to know it, no matter what I said or did before, doesn't matter. The students here today, whether they know it or not, are in a fight. Not only with people in the rest of the states, but with some foreign countries. Those foreign countries are serious about this. Money is nothing to them. They want this. We got to be sure these students here today and following that are going to have every backing we can give them. Regardless of what our personal position is, what we have to give up to do it, I want to be sure that they're going to have everything they need from now on. And I'm licensed to drive at night. I felt it's not a wise thing to do, and that's why this gentleman brought me here tonight. That's all I have to say. I'm not going to stick around. You can discuss whatever you want. Whatever you say is fine with me.
Thank you, sir. You just celebrated a birthday recently, didn't you, sir?
You got any questions?
Not right now. You celebrated a birthday just recently, didn't you?
I'm pretty deaf.
Okay.
Did you celebrate a birthday recently?
Oh, my birthday is going to be April 29th.
Okay.
It'll be my 100th birthday.
Yeah, coming up on April 29th.
There's going to be a lot of people come up from Florida to make a mass parachute jump over at Green County Skydive. And I have, she's about to go out of business, but this is really going to fix her up.
Nice.
And I have pledged to her. I don't know her, haven't even met her. I want that facility to stay here. And I pledged $5,000 to help her if she needs it.
Nice. Very
So we'll
nice.
see what happens. And then, I don't know how long I'm going to be here. Somebody else decides that. It doesn't really matter. I've had a wonderful life. I've met people all over the world. Been to Europe 6 times.
Wow.
Know everybody over there, all the generals and everybody else. So I lost my wife and that changed things dramatically, but I still lead a good life.
Mhm.
I really thank all of you for letting me come here and talk to you.
Right.
Now, I'm going to leave and you guys can talk on this.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody got any questions? Okay.
Not right now, thank you.
So,
And
I'm going to say one word.
Dale Cole,
I'm going to say
Mosnick.
Yes, Dale Kalamazoo.
Mosnick.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to speak. So breaking the fundamental rule of speaking, never follow someone far superior. I thought I accomplished a lot in life until I took a 10-minute ride with Pee-wee. I got liberated the continent, came home, started our family, built my own house, started a 51-acre farm and ran that with my wife. I am, Jim, going to tell my wife the story you just told me that you made your wife put roofing on your roof the day before she gave birth. I was passing that along to my wife. So there's been some talk about, we should be thrifty like farmers. We just heard from a farmer who has lived an incredible life and is living an incredible life and has been thrifty. So I give great credence to that, to your words, sir. I want to thank the school board for the inevitable task of making personnel cuts. There's been talk about we're not making cuts, we're not reducing staff. You have, and I hope that word gets out. that you are balancing this budget. I moved here 10 years ago. My wife and I didn't have children at the time, but we knew it was a great school district, and that's why we moved here. We knew we were going to have children. We hoped to have children, and we wanted them to go to a great school district. 3 years ago, we moved from our house in Bellbrook, and we almost moved to Oakland because of the school district. But we had confidence in the Bellbrook-Sugarcreek School District, the quality of education, and the overall community. I'm worried about that now. I voted against the first levy, and I was pretty straight with you, Dr. Kozat. I thought that could have been handled better, and I do appreciate you after that levy reaching out to me and saying that. I would encourage the board to be as absolutely transparent as possible. I do not think that you have not been, but I would encourage you to continue to do everything you can to be transparent, to give confidence to the community so they can pass this levy. So my 3.5-year-old daughter, it was just cool as hell, and my 1.5-year-old twins, who they're pretty cool too. So they can go to a good school district, because if they're not, if that's not the case, then I'll either be, moving to Oakwood or going to the Miami Valley School. And I'd hate to do that, because I really have come to love this community. But I think it's a responsibility to the children. For those of you, if anyone is in a financial situation that cannot afford the impact of the levy, I understand that. And that's perfectly, in my mind, where it's perfectly acceptable and understandable. If that is not your reason for voting against the levy, then I would ask you to look at the factual information that's been provided by the school board and other members of the community and make a smart decision for my children and for your children. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right, thank you both for coming to speak. That's greatly appreciated. We are going to go to reports to the board. Julie Wellbaum is going to give a report for the board down in the music room. So, how can we manage that? The board is going to go up, down. Is there a certain number of people that we can fit in that room?
We have 29 seats.
Yeah, there would be room.
So there should be room for everybody. Obviously, if you're not comfortable, you're more welcome to stay here. We are live streaming it down there also. So we have a second camera down there.
All right, so field trip.
Yep.
It makes you have things exciting things that the challenges we have this year instead of playing there, in light of the challenges that we have this year, instead of focusing on what we can't do, we try to divert our attention to what we can do, and especially here in New Zealand. In January, well, let's go back to when we are talking about work, I'm trying to remember. Finding things that are meaningful and usable is what I'm after. What can we do to create a meaningful, usable experience that's memorable for the kids? And so these are really Ohio companies and needed. These are being very understanding for all three grade levels, and we have been looking forward to all year, but especially here with the it's provided a great feedback, and it's been fun to do some really amazing. Back in 2015, I'm proud to say, I took a class from Bellbrook School of Music, and it was one place really and speaking. I have my degree in violin and viola, and I had never played the violin. My husband and sister, but I thought it would be something fun and maybe I could work in it. And we met the outfit, we had the yes band, and we took it to team. So it was about half a class set. And we used it off and on, and it was fun. And then earlier this year, about November, I said, you know, if we had a class set that we did, everyone, if I could put one in every hand, then it would be so much more meaningful. And hey, there's a lot that we could do it and say. So we got enough. We have 29 ukulele. They're creative with a story. We're going to put off the shelves and put it back there. So what students come in, they get their free. They play ukulele free. Track in the playground ukulele all day. It's in every class, it's in every shift, it's in every class on Python. So it's been a big fun experience for them. They are another, before they remember. Using the color-coded system, and it's their core. So on the Instagram, they know where to put their finger, they know where their finger spread is the people. And it's a hands-off way that I am visual representation of spatial issues we don't have to talk. There's no the first strategy. It's still like a video that way because you're teaching harmonic accompaniment instead of playing the melody. So the course is having so far. This is just some January. We're all together. Because it's a blue into, or it's a red into blue, and then back to the C. So we learn these chord progressions, and they get really fluent in their fingers moving from chord to chord, and then it'll be helpful to play different songs. So here is an example of the fourth graders playing that chordal progression. I'm the cameraman and the conductor. so their eyeballs were. Um, So, all right, so I just included some more photographs of some of the kids playing. And we have just won the G7. So the G7 was our newest sport. We are working on Lawn of Sunshine, and we are working on Bob Marley's Three Little Birds. Every little thing is going to be all right. And one of the fourth graders said to me on Tuesday, you know, there's a reason why we're playing everything, little thing's going to be all right. And he said, Mrs. Wilbaum, here, we are playing this song, and this is the best song we could be playing right now. And I said, absolutely. So I look forward to bringing kids to play for you in the very near future. So maybe next year we'll have a little ukulele band. So, oh, did you see that one back there? Yeah. And there's maybe one long, yes, and cuties. Every day when I have bus duty, kids get off the bus or get out of the cars, and they're bringing these lilies to school. They want me to tune them. They want me to put the dots on because it really helps when they're at home. And you know these faces? That was Cora, yeah. Brennan, Cora, Maren, and I took pictures of every class and I told them about this presentation and that they were going to be spotlighted the whole night, so they were excited to get their pictures taken. So that's all I have for you. I just wanted to share what's happening. We are still making beautiful music down here. There are so many things that I wish we could do that will be coming back, but until then, we have you play. You play it. I can play you on That'll be our next song.
I just want to say thank you. I mean, this is the creativity of our teachers and staff of making lemonade out of lemons and doing what's best for our students. So just thank you very much for being creative and trying to get past all of this and doing things the best way. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I have, yes.
I think really well. Radio is not really out.
Well, Mrs. Wellbaum isn't back up, but we'll certainly thank her for the presentation downstairs. Thoroughly enjoyable, and what a great thing they're doing with music here, in spite of the difficulties we have with playing instruments and so forth. The ukuleles are a lot of fun. All right, time to go on to the superintendent's report.
Yeah, again, I also want to say thank you to Mrs. Wellbaum, as you know, you've heard me from down there of that's just the creativity of our teachers, looking past all the things we can't do and looking for all those things that we can do. And the ukulele, of playing that rather than singing, since we're really not allowed to sing, especially in those type of close quarters. So thinking creatively and just trying to do great things for our kids. So just one example of all the great stuff that's going on in our schools. Superintendent's report here. We'll go with let's go with the hand carry first.
Okay.
So certificated licensed employment, resignation, leave of absence, supplemental duty. The first number one, recommend acceptance of resignation for the purpose of full Ohio STRS retirement from teacher Margaret Collier, effective end of the day, May 31st, 2021.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Mrs. Sloughman,
Second.
Mrs. Dorn. Any comments or discussion?
Just been here for 33 years, and I believe all those in second grade. The vast majority of them.
Yeah.
Looking out of my seatbelt style. Somewhere in that range. 33 years though. It's definitely missed.
Had an opportunity to get to know Mrs. Collier over a number of these years, and such huge respect for her. She will be greatly missed in our district. Any other questions or comments? All right, please call the roll.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Sloughman?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Regretfully, yes.
Mrs. Dorn?
Yes.
Mrs. Long?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, back to the regular agenda here, our second number one here, if that makes sense. Recommend acceptance of resignation for the purpose of full Ohio STRS retirement from teacher Chris Berkey, effective end of day, May 21st, 2021.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Mrs. Long,
Second.
Mrs. Dorn.
Again, 25 years experience in high school English language arts. Again, another just a fantastic member of our faculty that we definitely missed.
All right, Mr. Lanning, please call the roll.
Okay, Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Sloughman?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn?
Yes.
Mrs. Long?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Recommend acceptance of resignation from second grade teacher Ashley Dewberry, effective end of the day on May 31st, 2021.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Mrs. Dorn,
Second.
Mrs. Long.
And so has been here for 15 years and is going on to some other passions that she has. So we wish the best of luck to her.
Mm-hmm.
And I know she's also a fantastic teacher. My own son had her back in first grade, so yeah, a while ago.
Going on to get another master's degree. Any other questions or comments? All right, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sloughman?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn?
Yes.
Mrs. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, recommend approval to modify motion number 21-36 from February 11, 2021 for the issuance of the following supplemental duty contracts for the 2021 school year. Caleb Bruggeman, Kyle Ferguson, and Michael Millhouse they were 75%, they're now 100%. And then Kim Lord is no longer under contract for the middle school assistant girls track.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Mrs. Long,
Second.
Mrs. Dorn. So the increase for the three coaches is the essentially taking the fourth person and dividing the compensation that way.
Yeah, there's 3 contracts with 4 people. Mrs. Lord is no longer doing it, so now it's 3 people for 3 contracts.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. All right, Mr. Lemmy, please call the roll.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn,
Yes.
Mrs. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Sloughman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Recommend approval of the following supplemental duty contracts for the 2021 school year. Heather Hebrink and Stacy Tincher for softball.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Mrs. Long,
Second.
Mrs. Sloughman. Any questions or comments? All right, please call the roll.
Mrs. Dorn,
Yes.
Mrs. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Sloughman,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter.
Yes, motion passes.
Number 5, supplemental duty other, be resolved, the Bellbrook-Sugarcreek Board of Education has offered these supplemental duty positions via posting to licensed employees of the district. The board either had no qualified licensed employee applicants or no employees applied before these positions were offered to non-licensed persons. The following non-licensed persons have met qualifications for the board posting of supplemental duty positions as noted below. So recommend approval of the following supplemental duty contracts for the 2021 school year. Michael Balmer for track, Joy Bean for lacrosse, Chad Beck for track, Christopher Crane for girls track, Autumn Faust for softball, Steve Gregg for softball, Robert McCain for softball, Michael Reagan for girls track, and then Christian Williams for boys track.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Mrs. Sloughman,
Second.
Mrs. Dorn. Any discussion, comments? All right, please call the roll.
Mrs. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Sloughman,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes,
Mrs. Dorn.
Yes.
motion passes.
Recommend approval of the following supplemental duty volunteers for the 2021 school year. Andrew Caswell for golf and Nicodemus Taylor for track.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Mrs. Dorn,
Second.
Mrs. Long. Any questions, discussion, comments? All right, please call the roll.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Sloughman,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes,
Mrs. Dorn,
Yes.
and Mrs. Long.
Yes.
motion passes.
Recommend approval of the following substitute teachers for the second semester of the 2021 school year. Julie Bean, and she was early authorized.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Mrs. Long,
Second.
Mrs. Sloughman. Questions or comments? Glad to have another substitute teacher on the list.
Most definitely.
All right, please call the roll.
Okay, Mrs. Sloughman,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes,
Mrs. Dorn,
Yes.
Mrs. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes.
motion passes.
Recommend approval of continuation of unpaid medical leave of absence for teacher John Rommel effective for the 21-22 school year.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Mrs. Sloughman,
Second.
Mrs. Dorn. Any questions or comments? Okay, please call the roll.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes,
Mrs. Dorn,
Yes.
Mrs. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Sloughman.
Yes.
motion passes.
B, support staff employment resignation leave of absence. To recommend acceptance of resignation for the purpose of full Ohio SERS retirement from bus driver Michael Quinn, effective end of the day, May 31st, 2021.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Mrs. Dorn,
Second.
Mrs. Long.
Again, you've just done a fantastic job, and also, obviously, the bus driver will be sorely missed. We are
Indeed.
in dire need of bus drivers, so, you know, anybody who wants to drive a bus, let them come on in, we'll take you.
We'll even train you, right?
We'll definitely train you.
All right. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. Long,
Second.
Mrs. Dorn. Any questions or comments? All right, please call the roll.
Okay, Mrs. Dorn,
Yes.
Mrs. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Sloughman,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter.
Yes, motion passes.
Recommend approval of increase in time for Bellbrook-Creek Intermediate Secretary Denise Benitez to 208 days at 7.5 hours per day, effective with the 21-22 school year.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. Sloughman,
Second.
Mrs. Dorn. Questions or comments? Is this Mrs. Eubank's departure
Correct.
opens up this opportunity?
Correct. That's what it is. For, I believe, Ms. Rabinix, was last month.
Yes.
Yeah, this last month.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, please call the roll.
Mrs. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Sloughman,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Recommend approval of the following substitute support staff for the second semester of the 2021 school year. Kimberly Flynn for custodian.
You have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Mrs. Dorn and Mrs. Long. Any questions or comments? All right, please call the roll.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Sloughman,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn,
Yes.
Mrs. Long.
Yes.
Motion passes.
C 2021-22 school calendar. Recommend approval of the 21-22 district-wide school calendar, option 5, version 2.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Mrs. Dorn.
Second.
Mrs. Long.
Again, so this was at our last meeting, and the change from the last meeting, there was only 2 things that were changed. We went from a late start in October that we took out of there, and then we added a no school on Columbus Day, October 11th as a teacher PD day. So that was the 2 changes on that. Everything else stayed the same from last time.
All right. Any questions or comments? Right, that's a combination for military families, which is nicely done.
Yep.
All right, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sloughman,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn,
Yes.
Mrs. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Motion passes.
So D, ESC service agreement for 21-22 school year. So recommend approval of the service agreement with the Greene County Educational Service Center for supplemental services during the 21-22 school year at $1.8 million.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Mrs. Long,
Second.
Mrs. Dorn.
And so the big pieces of this are we contract with the ESC for our preschool. We contract with them for OT, PT, speech. And then if there's some other extremely higher needs students that we contract with them to have students at the Greene County Learning Center and so forth. So they are categorized as I want to use the correct terminology, high-performing ESC. So we have a fantastic partnership with them, and this is about the same that we spent with them this year. So,
Any questions or comments? Yes, we've enjoyed a nice working and relationship with the ESC in many ways. They've provided lots of great services to us and to other school districts in our county, that's for sure.
yeah, and really it's a cost savings to us. So definitely some of those OT, PT, speech services where maybe we only need a half a teacher. It's extremely difficult to get a half a teacher, or if you contract with the ESC, they'll work half here, half somewhere else. So those kind of flexibility is a great thing working with the ESC.
Anything else? All right, please call the roll.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn,
Yes.
Mrs. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Sloughman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Donations, recommend acceptance of the following donation with gratitude. Michael Circle and Aline Rader, $100 cash donation to the VHS Theater Department in memory of Grant Johnson, and Philip and Sally Smallwood, $100 cash donation to VHS Theater Department in memory of Grant Johnson.
Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Mrs. Sloughman and Mrs. Long. Well, we certainly appreciate them thinking of us and the theater program for memory of Grant Johnson. It's a nice memorial for sure. Mr. Lemming, please call the roll.
Mrs. Dorn,
Yes.
Mrs. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Sloughman,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter.
Yes. Motion passes. Going on to items of information, we have a packet of board policy revisions for us to review. And we will look at, we will work on approving these in the at the April 8th meeting. Geez, I'm stumbling on my words here. So any questions that you have, please reach out to Dr. Kozad beforehand so that if there's any errors or corrections that need to be made, it's good to have those in ahead of time as much as possible.
I have a broad question here. Again, if I spend more time on our own website, I might know this, but are these policies readily and easily available on our website?
Yes.
The entirety of them, they're there?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have an additional question. So all of these are revisions to current policies. None of them are proposed to be newly adopted policies.
Usually that is
Correct.
identified on the document if it's new or if it's a replacement, but these are all replacements?
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of it, most of it are kind of the same policy, but would be for support staff, for certificated staff, for administrators. So it's kind of the same policy, but has to be in all the different areas. A lot of these are based on federal law, federal guidance. So it's their recommendation, and then we work with Neola, that their lawyers put all this together, and then we review it with a Neola representative twice a year, and these are the recommendations.
Good question. Thank you. Other questions? All right. Going on. Our next item is the COVID vaccine. Our district administrators and staff and employees all have the ability to get their second dose tomorrow. So they had signed up for the first dose of the vaccine 3 weeks ago. Then they get the second dose tomorrow. So that's a great thing that to have arranged. We participated with other schools in Greene County, Greenview local, Bellbrook-Sugarcreek, and also the ESC. So.
Yep. And the rest of the day, the teachers and staff are spending in professional development. So I know we canceled the March 17th late start. I won't say in exchange for this, but since we had this day as a PD day, we eliminated that.
As far as comments.
Yes.
I'd like to make a comment. I think we'd be remiss in saying, I did go back and look at my emails, and a year ago tomorrow, we all got the email from Dr. Kozad that school was shutting down. So we are officially 365 days into this as a school. And not everyone has always agreed on how we proceeded, but I think when it comes down to, if we look at all the schools across the country, all the schools across Ohio, there are students who have still not stepped foot into a building this school year.
Right.
So I think as a district, I want to commend you, Dr. Kozad, the administrators. I don't think anyone in their right mind would have wanted to be you this year. And there's been criticism coming from all sides. Sometimes we were that side, but an unenviable position that you have this year and your whole staff. So thank you from me, from my family. I know I'm not sure from the rest of you as well. This has been a year. So we'll hear today.
Yeah.
Indeed remarkable when you look across the country and you see the entire school system, Chicago, New York, even with our own state, that have, like you said, are not set foot in the school. My daughter has knowledge of like Cincinnati, the situation down there, and the kids are supposed to be online, but there are literally thousands of kids that are unaccounted for, that not, logged in even once. And the fact that we, as a school district, and rather I should say you as a school district, as in the administrators, the teachers, the bus drivers, the cafeteria workers, every single, the support staff, hats off to you. for what you've done. I mean, it happened, without exception, kids in our district had an option for education over the last year. Whether it was in person, whether it was hybrid, whether for a period of time it was remote, it wasn't like we just abandoned them or you just abandoned them and they were on their own. And so I think that this community should be fully aware of it, and even the parents are. But, the people outside of those that have parents or children in the district may not be fully aware as to the contrast of this district with what you see across the nation and probably across the world in many different places. So I think we should be darn proud of the school system and the success and has it been perfect? Are our kids as much on track as if, nothing ever happened? No, it's just reality. There's just inherent obstacles with it. But as we just heard was back in the, in the music room, the extent to which Ms. Lowen has gone to make sure that it's safe for those kids to exchange those ukuleles back and forth. And she's cleaning those things, and she's cleaning the seats in between classes. That's above and beyond any job any teacher ever signed up for. And we should be extremely proud. And those of you that do this work should go look in the morning at the mirror and at yourself and be extremely proud of yourself for what you've done during a period of just unprecedented in our lives, right? So what's interesting, Jim Martin that spoke here earlier, if you talk to him one-on-one, he'll real quickly rattle off to you. He's lived through 7 pandemics. And whether it's smallpox or polio or malaria, believe it or not, and he just rattled diphtheria and whooping cough, and he could just rattle these off, And here we're experiencing, maybe most of us, many of us, our first. So all that say this, everybody works in the school system, look in the mirror and be proud. And I'm just beyond satisfied as a parent, a student in this district, that, he has the opportunity that he, as much as he would chose to take advantage of it, it was in his hands, and I know that's true for the 2,700 students that are in this school district. So again, hats off to you, not to us as board members, we're just kind of cheerleaders, but for those of you that have really done the work, I've run the battery down, I guess. But for you that have really done the work, God bless you. Thank you. Deeply grateful and genuinely grateful. Have no other reason to say that. So other than just how I deeply feel about the situation.
And if my memory serves me correctly, this school calendar year, the school year, we haven't been 100% remote on any days. We were either hybrid for 3 weeks at the beginning of the year, hybrid for 5 weeks after Thanksgiving when the big surge took place. And other than that, we were full-time, full schedule.
Right.
And I think you can probably count on one hand the districts in our state that were able to do that. So it's phenomenal. So thank you. Again, I would reiterate what Mr. Price said, and I'll just leave it at that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, just 10 more seconds on that. It's definitely a team effort, and really it's the folks, administrators in the buildings, the teachers in the buildings are what gets it done. So we can put things in place and policies and procedures, but it's their every second, every minute that they're getting it done in the building. So things needs to go to them, definitely in the buildings.
Yep. All right, one other item that we talked about a little bit, or that was discussed last time, is a consent agenda. Mrs. Dorn brought that up, and I think we've had some time to think about that. Is there any other thoughts on moving toward a consent agenda?
To me, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I expect so much of our agenda this evening, if there's an item there you can identify that needs discussion, you can bring it up. But so much of it is just reading it and saying yes. It's just, are we going to approve these supplementals or not supplementals, substitute teachers and retirements and things like that, and the bill just come together and say, do you approve? Yes, and we're done, except for the things that are of substance that we really do need to talk about or enjoy, like going down and seeing what Ms. Lowen put together. I'd rather spend 15 minutes, 20 minutes in a music room than approving individually 16 people that are assistant coaches, and rather than off their names and everything else. That said, if you look at it, we have something by exception, like, then sure, we need to be able to bring it up. But I really like that idea, Audrey. I really have never dealt with that. Just always slugged my way through whatever place I worked with long, meetings and all that. I think it's pretty brilliant. I appreciate that you brought that forward, and I would really like to see us do something like that, so we can save the precious minutes we have for something that's actually, substantive rather than just rote. My thoughts.
Well, and it also is based on the fact that we delegate the responsibility for doing the interviewing and the selecting to folks who know the jobs inside and out. So it makes sense for us to trust their judgment on that. So we'll plan to do that for the next time. We'll organize the items which are consent worthy and leave out the items which might be appropriate for comment.
I just wanted to ask one question to make sure from doing the minutes. If someone comes to the meeting or if someone reads the agenda, one of the board members, and has an item they would like to pull out, at what point do they bring that up? Is it better to I don't know, talk to the office and say we need to pull this one out, or you show up at the board meeting and bring it up then once the meeting started, or how? That's my only question about how
it could be done either way. You could reach out because having something pulled from a consent agenda does not require a motion with an approval. Each board member has the right to say, I would like to treat this item separately, and it's done separately without any further, approval by other board members. So each board member has the right to do that. So if you wanted to do that ahead of time, you could reach out to the office, preferably before it gets published. But and then before we approve the consent agenda, a person would need to identify the things that should come out. Because once you approve all the items on the consent agenda, it's a little late to go back and say, well, really, I want to go talk about this one more.
So just again, this is already in our board policy, so it definitely gives us the ability to do that via board policy. But just logistics, are we thinking that, for example, the treasurer's report, that would be one vote? Superintendent's report would be one vote. Is that kind of what we're thinking? I'm just trying to make sure that we're all on the same page. So when I say consent agenda, you have an idea of what I mean. Is that what we're thinking?
I think from my perspective, it's under new business, it's A and B, which is the certificated licensed employment, the support staff employment.
Yeah.
But then I think beyond that, like for this evening, I would have wanted the school calendar, the ESC agreement, and donations.
Okay.
To work for the.
So that's the treasurers and then the personnel. Everything else then is going to stay separate.
That would be my recommendation off the bat.
We're going to get it right the first time, right, as far as how we're going to organize it.
Yeah, I would.
I've done some research into it. She can find us next time and say, you know what, it really doesn't make sense to do that. She's looking at more than any of us have. So we give it a shot with those broad, categories you just identified, and then we just see if there's a better way of doing it the next meeting. It'll be, we won't get it perfect the first time.
As long as everybody's clear, they know what they're voting on. And that's the biggest piece to it, that it's very clear. So are we still wanting me or Mr. Liming to read every single thing in that?
No.
Okay. Again, I'm just trying to be clear on what, so the answer is no, we're not going to read all of that. We're going to just do treasurer's report, and there's just going to be a first and a second. We're not going to read A, B, and C in one vote.
Correct.
And for example, would have been tonight, A and B, not read it, one vote.
Right.
The real goal here.
Know what everybody's thinking?
Yeah, the real goal is to be done in 3 minutes. Okay, so that's the real goal. But certainly though, there should be an opportunity for comments later. So if we want to go back
Sure.
and recognize these teachers that have dedicated their working career, we should be able to have an open comment period where we can go back and laud and praise people accordingly. But it doesn't necessarily have to be in the context of a long.
Spend some more time on those kind of things
Yeah.
rather than,
Sure.
yeah,
Indeed.
that's the point of the whole thing, is
Yeah.
to spend more time on the things that matter a little bit more than just reading things off.
Right.
Okay.
This will make
We're on same
the
page.
organizational meeting in January to be about an hour shorter too. Because we have probably 30 resolutions in that meeting.
Right.
Just a long
Mr. Lyman always liked that long meeting.
I lose my voice.
Well, the nice thing then too is it may encourage people to come to hear the discussion on the weightier topics and not feel like, okay, I gotta sit through, 30 minutes of approvals just so we can get to the topic that interests me, so.
Right. Again, something like Mrs. Wellbaum's presentation,
Right.
much better to spend time on that than reading through everything. Okay.
Unless all the building administrators really like that part, we can leave it in. You wanna hear all of it?
Okay. Mr. Lining, are we clear? I think we're, okay. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page and all talking the same language here. Okay.
And then you wanted to mention coffees with the superintendent perhaps?
Yeah, so I have not set the dates yet, but in April, we're going to have a couple coffee with the superintendents. I would assume at our similar places, either Winans or Bellhop, or we could do tailgate with the tailgate talks. That's something we did outside in front of BCI. We're actually out here in front of the gym outside. So we may do that, but hopefully we wouldn't have a night like tonight where it's pouring and raining. So those are to be determined, and we'll get those out via email and in the next bridge. Those things will be in there. Yeah, just another opportunity for the community if they want to talk about the levy, if they want to talk about COVID, if they want to talk about other things. It's their opportunity to come and talk with the school district.
All right. Anything else for board member comments? Anybody else have anything?
The next thing, executive session.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, I have a comment. For the next meeting, we really do need to have some understanding of what is in the realm of possible of bringing back, if anything. I don't know. I'm not saying there is or there isn't, but we have to address that.
Yes.
So the community knows what is at least in the realm of possible with respect to restoration. Again, and I underscore, if anything, I don't know. I'm not the treasurer, I'm not the superintendent. I don't have that level of insight into the budget and the expense of the various things that are under consideration. But I think it's absolutely expected by the community that we say, we've looked at it and nothing can come back. Or we've looked at it and yes, since we've had a year of not providing some things, we've got some extra budget. We can now look at restoring it potentially next year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's imperative that next meeting that we address that. At that point, we're 1 month out from the vote.
Yep.
And people will already have started early voting, so they need to be aware of what is possible.
Yes.
And I'm not saying anything is, but we can't not talk to that, so.
Correct, I agree.
The Congress as well.
Yes.
Continued failures and at least what is potentially next that would have to go.
Right. Yeah.
The
All
key
right.
point being is that, again, I think this is what the community struggles to understand, is that by design, by design of the state of Ohio, districts in Ohio have to pass recurring levies. They do. Unless you're one of those districts that gets 90% of your money, from the state, and there are some that do. Ours certainly doesn't. As it's been conveyed on average, 44%, districts receive 44% of their funding from the state of Ohio. By definition then, all districts are reliant and overly reliant on property taxes for their funding. And that's in contravention of what the state constitution says. But the state continues down that path of requiring districts to fund their school systems out of pocket one way or the other. And since our funding is frozen because of House Bill 920, for the outside millage, which is 88% of what this district gets and probably typical of most districts. If a levy doesn't pass at some point, Audra, to your point, there will be additional cuts. There is no choice. Inflation marches on. We cannot operate the school district off of the same level of funding that we had in 1976. I don't know of any household, business, anything on the planet that can operate off of what we had 47 years ago. So it's an absolute. Levies have to pass in Ohio. If you don't like it, please go to the State House, rattle the cage, tell them they need to fund the schools exclusively and make it so we aren't reliant upon property taxes for it. But it's not the fault of this district or any district in Ohio that we have to return to the voters every so many years, every 5 years, 7 years, whatever. And I know somebody was bringing up a contrast with Clinton Massey and saying, hey, they're really happy down in Clinton Massey. The farmers love them. They haven't had a property tax in 30 years. Well, go take a look at Clinton Massey. You know what their percentage of school funding is? 55%. What's ours? 27%. Oh, by the way, Clinton Massey has an earned income tax that funds their schools, and it's inherently cost adjusted. The salaries go up over time. They're seeing a bump in their revenue for their school district. So it's a completely false and disingenuous comparison to lump us in with another district that is utterly different than what we have here. So our community has to understand recurring levies are a reality. They're a necessity. Without them, unfortunately, cuts will happen. They have to happen. So at what point when we go from 25 to 30 to 35 to 40 kids in the classroom, do we say this isn't working, And we shouldn't get to that point. We should recognize that on average this district has had to pass a levy every 5 years. And guess what? It's been 6 years since the last one. And so while I can't sit up here as a board member and tell you to vote yes, I can advocate for letting you know the positives if the levy passes. And we can also quantify for you the negatives if it doesn't. And then you can make your own decision. So, as Forrest Gump would say, that's all I have to say about that.
All right, for executive session, I make a motion that that we go into executive session for the purpose of considering employment and dismissal of a licensed public employee per revised code 121.22 paragraph G1. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Long? I made the motion in the first place.
I didn't hear you.
Yeah. Thank you. Mr. Lyman, please call the roll.
Okay, Mrs. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Sloughman?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn?
Yes.
Motion passes. We are going into executive session at 8:09.